Hi everyone, welcome to the online course on neurobiology. In this course, we will try to understand how the brain functions. Now, one can study the brain at many different zoom levels. For instance, we can study the brain at the level of molecules that are present in different cells in the brain, or one can look at the level of cells, the neurons and the glia that are present in the brain. One can also study the small circuits of neurons, or the whole sensory systems or motor systems that are made by combining many of these circuits together. One can study the whole brain or different large chunks of the brain, and one can even go into psychological and philosophical aspects of the brain. In this course, we will try to touch upon these various aspects, but our main focus will be on understanding what is happening at the level of individual neurons and circuits of neurons. This course is divided into 5 parts. In the first part, we will get an introduction to the field of neuroscience or neurobiology. We will also see a historical perspective and understand how people started to think about the brain. In the second part, we will understand how the electrical activity is generated inside the brain. Electrical activity is fundamental to the functioning of the brain, and we will try to understand how different properties of neurons allow them to function like resistors or capacitors and ultimately result in electrical activity that we see in the brain. In the third part, we will look at ion channels that allow active conductances in neurons, and these channels enable a certain type of electrical event in the brain called action potential or spikes. These spikes are the basic currency of neural activity, and we will spend some time in understanding how these spikes or action potentials are generated and how they are transmitted along neurons. In the fourth part, we will look at the synapses, which are the contact points between neurons. So we'll try to understand how neurons communicate with each other. We will look at the two types of synapses, the electrical synapses and the chemical synapses. And in the fifth part, we will look at sensory systems. So we will try to understand how perception happens. We'll get an introduction to different sensory systems, but we'll focus mostly on one system, olfaction, which is the sense of smell. Now this is very close to my heart because my lab works in the field of olfaction. So I'll be able to talk about this particular sensory system with more confidence. So this is the short introduction to this course, and I hope you will enjoy the course.